So these words, paha, are in the Tongva language, which is still spoken by some of the Tongva who live here in the San Gabrieleno-Tongva, Gabrieleno-Tongva tribe. And we see that this is, also a resource for the homeowners who live here. It not only is a barrier to the wetlands, it also gives them an excellent viewscape. And when this wetlands is restored, which we trust it will be even more valuable, both to the habitat and to the people who live here. Now hopefully those single pass cooling generators over there will be removed and that area also restored. So this development sort of proves that people can live in harmony with the habitat if they plan properly and do it right. And here's number 6, which mentions the Gabrieleno-Tongva, who were in the Los Angeles basin. They traveled up and down the coast trading. They had the valuable resource of tar, which was used to caulk canoes so that they wouldn't leak. So they used to take these Tiat canoes and go to Catalina and go down to San Diego and up to the Chumash and do all sorts of things. You usually carried a young boy who had the job of bailing out the canoe, a young child, and the others would be rowing. So it was quite a feat, that they had these little redwood boats. And this is the 7th. We're talking about Landing Hill. Now we're up to Oaks, which used to be here. And hopefully they'll be back. So these little memorials are designed to bring us back in time to some of the ways that this got to be the way it is now. And here we're talking now about the Indians who lived here and the archaeologists who surveyed it. The smell here is really good. These are native plants, and while they're not entirely established yet, the smell is really wonderful. This talks about the graveyards here and how long the people lived here, at least 5,500 years ago. Probably longer than that. The Renegade Canyon in China Lake has petroglyphs dating from these western Shoshone people dating from 11 to 17,000 years ago. This says, finally, 10. The Gabrieleno-Tongva people welcome you as the caretakers of this land. We hope you will honor the past and have respect for the ancestors who once lived here and are now buried here. So this is, of course, all the land is sacred, but this is particularly sacred because there was a burial ground here. The Tongva believed that when you died, they sang the sunrise song, and that was because you were going to the west where the sun went, and that it was actually a new life. And so they buried people with expectation of the next life. And I'm hearing all sorts of little animals in the woodwork here. And this is a conversation pit where the people can come and have lectures about our native California habitat and about what has been lost and what we can do to preserve what we have. And of course, it's in the backdrop of that oil well. Some of the trees didn't make it. That one there. This one is doing well. These plants are, sort of grass. Some of them are surviving, and some of them may not. The people who plant native plants tell me that they have to do tough love, and some of the plants decide to live there, and some just don't. And they work out eventually over the decades with the little animals that live amongst them that somehow come back. When you have the habitat, the animals come back. That somehow they work out an arrangement. Little creatures that go from one plant to another enable these things to form a sort of a symbiosis of life. Now this is a great place, you know, it's in a circle, meaning that everybody is equal here, and maybe one person can be talking, and it's designed to be a conversation pit. And you could come here and you could learn about the history and culture and things that were in the past that you can't see anyplace else. And this is sort of the triumph of Mr. Don May. His idea is that while you have these, and it seems to work, while you have these homes, they have a runoff problem. You know, what do they do with water that runs off? Well, we can create a thing called a bioswale, which accumulates that water. The same thing was used down at the Huntington Beach Little Shell wetland, which actually solved their drainage problem and is also a beautiful little wetland now and a little tiny habitat, and also preserves the larger wetland across the street, which depends on its water. And so this is the bioswale. Now it is dry right now, which is sort of appropriate because these wetlands are supposed to dry out from time to time. You know, they don't stay wet all the time, and the delicate creatures who live in this environment are adapted to this radical change, you know, of life and its rotation. When you come here when there's water, it's also full of ducks and egrets and all sorts of other things. But what you have to, people don't realize, and I didn't realize, is that the great blue herons and the egrets spend a lot of their time on the upland habitat. They don't spend all their time in the water. So you not only have to have water areas, you also have to have upland areas in order to have a healthy habitat. And this is sort of a triumph, because it creates a habitat, and yet it's in conformity with all of these homes that are living there. And the people who live here, you'll notice, all have that glass fronting on their place. They're all happy to have this view of the wilderness, and it will get even better as time goes on. In this area, you could just have a picture in your mind that there's no houses around, that you're back in the midst of nature, and that, you know, you're maybe 2 centuries ago, and maybe you could even feel the people that used to live here. Maybe you could even feel their spirits, and get a little taste of being in the country, even though you're in the midst of the city. And maybe kids could come here and learn something about the native plants and animals and the people that built the missions and things. Because no one ever told us about, you know, when they took us to the mission in 3rd grade, no one ever told us about the people that actually built those missions. They left that out. And that's what we need to talk about now, is the justice and the historic justice of what happened to those people and what was done to them. And that's where you can come here to learn about these things and to get a feeling for what California was like 2 centuries ago. And how we could live amidst California without destroying it, and allow the creatures, small creatures, to live also. So this is the view from inside the housing tract and out into the wetlands. You can see that this is really can be a paradise if we take care of those wetlands over there. These houses can be an integral part of the preservation of these wetlands and the historical value of this entire area. We see again that the developer chose well from the palette of native plants that were allowed to them, and the houses are really in conformity with really nice architectural standards. It has a pleasing air, and as the vegetation grows, it will be even more pleasing. There's a young great blue just flew over us. Sort of an omen. The Native Americans believed that the birds were represented as spirits of their ancestors, and that they sort of watched out over us.